Welcome back. Zimbabwe's economic situation remains very difficult as sustainable growth is threatened by high government spending, an untenable foreign exchange regime, and inadequate reforms. This is according to the International Monetary Fund. IMF's mission chief for Zimbabwe, Jane Leon, says immediate action is critical to reduce the deficit to a sustainable level, accelerate structural reforms, and engage with the international community to access much-needed financial support. Zimbabwe has not been able to borrow from international lenders since 1999, when it started defaulting on its debt. And Facebook will open a community hub in Nigeria next year to encourage software developers and technology entrepreneurs and become the latest technology giant to pursue a training program in fast-growing Africa. The U.S. social media company says the center would host an incubator program to help develop technology startups, while it will also train 50,000 Nigerians in digital skills. Africa's rapid population growth, falling data costs, and heavy adoption of mobile phones rather than PCs is attracting technology companies looking to attract more users. Facebook did not provide details of the period over which its planned training will take place in Nigeria, but says the training aimed at software developers, entrepreneurs, and students will be offered in cities including the capital, Abuja, Port Harcourt in the south, Calabar in the southeast, and Kaduna in the north. Last year, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg visited technology companies in Lagos, and his charitable foundation provided $24 million to Andela, which trains developers. And as we enter the Christmas season, consumers of goods and services may not have much to worry about, as food prices, domestic commodity prices are set to be benefiting from bountiful harvest. Let's bring in research analyst with financial derivatives company Damilare Adeshola to tell us more. Good afternoon, Damilare. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon, Chime.
Now, compared to a year ago, domestic commodity prices have lost an average of 40%. What are the major driving forces behind this price movement?
Well, the primary behind this movement has been the bountiful harvest. From months of May to up until about October, we saw favorable weather and there was abundant rainfall. And so this led to a bountiful harvest for commodities such as yam and beans. And so this had an impact on the prices. For example, the yam has come down from about 900 naira at the beginning of the year to about 450, 500 for a small tuber, while beans for 100 kg bag has come down from about 34,000 naira to about 28. So it's really just been the impact of harvest and on prices, but also looking at imported commodities such as flour, we're seeing the play of substitution effect, where to avoid consumers shifting away from consuming products such as bread. We've seen producers tinker with prices, bread which is made from flour, and so because the price of yam and beans has come down now, to avoid consumers switching away from bread, we've seen producers reduce prices from about 11,000 to about 9,800. So generally, it's just been the impact of the bountiful harvest and commodities.
All right. From what you have said, how do you reconcile this with the fact that the National Bureau of Statistics in its latest inflation number indicated that food index is still high? Why haven't we seen a bigger impact on the food inflation?
Well, first of all, it's important to note that inflation is a measure of the rate of change in prices, so it's not the measure of the actual change. But that being said, there's also a time lag between when prices come down and when inflation rate comes down. So we do expect to see the impact of harvest, and we expect to see harvest have an impact on food inflation. Even if you look at the report in October, there was a marginal decline from 20.32 of food inflation to 20.31. Although that is negligible, we expect the impact to be more significant in the coming months. So it's really just the time lag. So we expect to see a more significant impact looking in January.
All right, so what are the short-term effects of this decline in prices?
Well, the most important one would be the impact on private consumption. So obviously, because prices are down, we would expect that the purchasing power of consumers, the real value of their income, has increased, and so now that would have an impact on their spend during this festive season, compared to a year ago, which we tagged a recession Christmas. We did not really see an uptick last year in consumption during this period from November to December, which is normal for the Christmas period. There wasn't that much of an uptick last year, but this year we expect private consumption to return to recession levels, and so looking at the prices. So if you look at the normal the food menu of the typical household, looking at the price of rice, has slashed significantly from about 22,000 for 50 kg back to the current price of about 15,000. So obviously this is going to have an impact on consumption, and even also looking at the higher middle class who consumes potatoes and turkey, the price of these commodities are coming down. So we expect to see an uptick in private consumption in the coming months, looking at December.
Okay, with oil prices rising and our foreign reserves going up, how will this impact domestic commodity prices in the short term?
Well, the most significant impact would be for forex. So we know that all revenues make up over 90% of Nigeria's forex earnings. So that would mean that the CBN can continue to intervene in the market and keep prices, the exchange rate stable. So what that would mean for domestic prices would mean that for the imported commodities such as flour and sugar, which is from refined sugar cane. So what we would find is that there would be some stability in the prices. So while we don't expect this to mean that prices of those commodities will necessarily come down, we expect that the prices of these commodities will be stable because producers have the forex available to fund the raw materials for these produce.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Damilare Adeshola, research analyst with Financial Derivatives Company here in Lagos. We move on now looking at the global oil market. Prices eased today with the U.S. crude dipping away from two-year highs reached the day before, but the shutdown of the Keystone pipeline and a drawdown in fuel inventories continued to bolster markets despite worries over rising output. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were at $57.89 a barrel, down 13 cents from their last settlement, but still close to 2015 highs of $58.15 a barrel reached on Wednesday. Brent crude futures, the international benchmark for oil prices, were at $63.17 per barrel, 15 cents below their last close. WTI has been buoyed by the shutdown of the 590,000 barrels per day Keystone pipeline, one of the largest crude pipelines from Canada to the United States, as well as by another drawdown in commercial fuel inventories that came despite record U.S. oil production. And finally, metal markets. Gold prices nudged lower today, with investors taking profits after gains of nearly 1% in the previous session on weaker U.S. economic data and concerns among some Federal Reserve policymakers over lower inflation. The minutes of the U.S. Central Bank's last policy meeting showed many Fed policymakers expect that interest rates will have to be raised in the near term. However, some members expressed concern over the inflation outlook and emphasized they will be looking at upcoming economic data before deciding the timing of future rate rising. Spot gold was down 0.2% at $1,290 per ounce. U.S. gold futures for December delivery edged down 0.2% to $1,289. And that's a wrap on the program. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Chimizi Obi Iwago.